So currently I am with one of the best lawyer of India, victims' right advocate, Mr. Dibyanshu Pandey. Welcome to our show, sir.
Thank you.
Uh, sir, let's start with our interview. My first question for you is, you did engineering, then chose to become a lawyer. What is the story behind it?
Well, if I summarize my entire education and whatever I have done so far, no matter what I did, there was one thing that has been constant throughout, and that was something that I find very, very important for every individual. We need to understand what are our strengths. So once you discover your strength, you are a person who can discover what exactly you want to do. So the story, I wouldn't say that there's a story behind it, but yes, over a period of time during my engineering and prior to that, I discovered my strength and I believed that communication is my strength. So after my engineering, it was the way you asked me that what made me choose law after engineering. What I did is during my engineering, I chose intellectual property rights. So during my engineering, I had few research papers published, and I got exposed to intellectual property rights. So as a lawyer, as an engineer, I could contribute in the field of patents law as a patents consultant dealing with techno-legal work. So my legal career started with being into a techno-legal work where I dealt with patents of electromechanical patents, like we used to file from all across the world in India. So when I started working as an intellectual property rights consultant, then I realized that I need to unfold my wings because that IPR was little confined. And all, like in due course of time, I continued to discover my strengths. So I decided that I need to study law in order to become a full-fledged lawyer, and that is how I chose to study law in the University of Delhi, and thereafter I became an independent advocate.
Wonderful, sir. Sir, my next question for you is, would you like to tell us about the initial struggles of the following interests?
When I chose to study law, I did not have any inspiration as such, wherein I could look forward and say, oh, that person is pursuing law after engineering, so I can also do that. I did not have any of any inspiration like that. However, I was very sure about what I was doing. Even during my, if I share an anecdote, during my engineering, I chose not to sit for placements, and I was considered crazy because like it was a time of recession and everybody was looking for some job or the other irrespective of the quality of work, whereas I chose not to appear for the placements. And that too, when I come from an institute of eminence, that mattered more because getting a job is something an engineer looks forward to all the time. But let me tell you very candidly, when I was doing that, I really did not know what I was supposed to do, but I knew what I do not have to do. So whenever a company came for placements, my first question to myself used to be, what am I going to do when I go there? I did not have that answer. Hence, I chose I will not sit for placements because I wouldn't do something that the company wants me to do. Rather, I would choose my own interest. So after that, I got into intellectual property rights. And the struggle, if you say, the struggle is that when you choose to pursue a domain where you do not have any precedence in your vicinity, when you do not have anybody whom you can go up to and ask, look, I am doing this, how do I go about it? Then that itself is a big challenge. So what you do, you commit your own mistakes and then you learn from it. So if I say what were my challenges, being a lawyer, there are myriads of challenges, but nothing really mattered to me because I was determined that I have to pursue my uh, career in this field. So really, I did not face any challenge as such.
Wonderful. Sir, my next question for you is, what was your road to road moment of success and that moment of feeling good about the career choice?
Well, Adarsh, every moment, right from the time, because when I chose law, I was very sure about what I was doing. Like, leaving a career. I have worked in many companies. I have worked in IT companies, top IT firms. I have worked with top manufacturing companies of this country. So when I chose law, I was very sure that the the domain that I'm choosing, I'm going to be the best in the field because I know myself the best. Nobody can tell me what exactly I am, except me. So if there's no such moment I can recollect where I can say that, okay, this was a moment that validated my choice. But yes, there has been multiple moments wherein I realized that yes, I could not do something, I couldn't choose a better profession than this. So if I recollect, uh, one of the moments I can recollect, there are multiple moments when you be an advocate to a victim and the victim gets justice. It doesn't matter who that person is. What matters is whether justice is being delivered, and being part of that journey itself is a big success. However, one incident I would like to quote is there was an incident wherein Uttar Pradesh police had wrongfully arrested a person and kept in the lockup in Ghaziabad for 3 days. This case was something that I was furious to know when the person approached me and he said that was kept in the lockup by the police and nothing is happening. I took up that case, and the result was that a judicial commission was formed and inquiry was conducted. Police officials were held guilty. Not only that, the best part was that due to my efforts, a guideline has been made. Guidelines for how a police from one state can go to another state and arrest a person and bring back to that state. So now, since a guideline has been made, I'm very sure now such injustices won't take place. So that is one moment I realized that yes, I am making contribution in the evolution of the law, not only working for getting justice for people, but also if my efforts are bringing improvement in the law, nothing can be better than that.
Absolutely, sir. So, sir, my next question for you is how is the field of lawyers evolving and becoming challenging?
Since I have been in this field, since I come from an engineering background, I find lacuna in the kind of infrastructure that we have in our country. I worked with IT firms, and I see how things can be more organized. So, technology-wise, yes, legal industry is lacking, and there is a lot to be done. So when you talk about evolution, this pandemic has brought to the fore a lot of things. The acceptance of technology has increased manifold, which was not earlier, because generally people who are lawyers do not have technical backgrounds. uh, so they are little hesitant in changing their course of work and how they work and adopting to the technology. So but today virtual courts are hearings are taking place and everybody is bound to get used to it. So things are evolving, and I think in times to come, technology is going to play a major role in the legal industry, and that is also going to make accessible to a lot of people across the country, because logistics and traveling and all those things are factors that really affect how justice is being delivered. So I see that it is changing, and most interestingly, India has been independent. It's not even 100 years that India got independence. So there is manifold opportunity for lawyers to work in this area. And let me tell you, there's dearth of good lawyers, because anybody you go and talk, nobody has good experience with lawyers. So good lawyers, yes, definitely this country needs a lot.
Wonderful, sir. So, sir, my next question for you is uh, what will be your message for students taking up law?
Every individual who is taking up law must keep in mind that this domain pertains, the strength that the skill that you need is, it's all about communication. Apart from having critical thinking, of course, critical thinking you cannot set aside. But yes, communication is a very important part of this profession. So anybody who's taking up law must be sure about which course they have taken up, because it should not be something like engineering that generally happens in our country, that after class 12th, people join engineering and later they realize that this is not what I wanted to do, and they get into some other domain. Right, the way I have discovered, I chose engineering. I was not sure about what I have to do later in life. But yes, that course is something that I have leveraged leverage in the sense of critical thinking. Like, engineering is how you think about, like, how you address a problem. So when an individual is taking up law, it should be an afterthought decision, first of all. And there are a lot of things that it's not only about going ahead and getting a degree of law. This domain pertains to that it connects to people's lives in the society. So an individual must be connected to the society. An individual, anybody who's taking up law, must, must know how to connect with people. It's like, a person cannot be like, an individual, a student just cannot go to the college, attend moot courts, and then say that I am a lawyer now. It does not work that way. Unless and until you have exposure to the society, unless and until you have exposure to real life problems, unless and until you understand what is going around in the society. It is a social domain basically. So my advice is that anybody who is choosing law must go out, meet people apart from doing the course, apart from studying in the college. Extracurricular activities play an important role, but not only within the institution. A person has to come out of that environment and go into the world. That's why I always say that it is always, I personally, I feel that studying law after 12th, if somebody's choosing to study law after 12th, those people need to work extra hard, because they have just come out of the school and they have got into a course which pertains to people's lives. Once a person graduates as a lawyer and gets a license, anybody can approach that person and ask for a consultation. If an individual is not capable of giving a consultation after passing this LLB course of LLB, it is worthless. And that is where the lacuna lies today. Like, people are unable, who pass law are unable to go and address problem. You cannot be an advocate. You cannot advocate somebody unless and until you know where the problem lies, unless and until you know how to address the problem. So my advice is, go out, meet people, commit your own mistakes, see what is happening in society, what hurts you, what does not hurt you. No matter where you stand, you'll see five people getting injustice. You'll see five people suffering. People do not know that they are suffering. But as a lawyer, as a law student, a person should be able to figure out, no, there is something wrong that is happening here. If you feel something like that, you need to, scratch deeper and find out what exactly is wrong. That is how you make yourself a lawyer.
That's a wonderful advice, sir. So, sir, with this, we have reached to our last question. My last question for you is, can you give a brief idea about the scope and future opportunities in this field?
There are this legal domain, as I said earlier, there is dearth of good legal professionals in this country. Like, if an individual visits a local court, generally what happens in a district, there is one district court. So you get to see lawyers who appear in that court. So there is a notion that this legal profession is not a good profession. It doesn't give, it doesn't give you a lot of return if you work, even if you work very hard. So basically, the local lawyers that we see in a district, people land up getting demotivated. That is not the case. There is acute dearth of good legal professionals in the country, and there are thousands of areas where a person can make his career. If a person chooses to get into a legal profession, there are thousands of areas. Like, for example, a small law has wide impact throughout the country. So if a person specializes even in a small part of law, even in a law that is not voluminous, right? The person can, go ahead and do wonders. As far as people from across domains are concerned, if you say that what can an engineer do in the legal profession, every profession has some legal aspects. For example, an engineer, say a mechanical engineer, can deal with techno legal work the way I started my career. Similarly, there are other fields as well where there are legal aspects connected to it. So there is absolutely, numerous opportunities available. The only question is that whether you are a good professional or not, whether you have that vision or not, whether you have that courage or not. So opportunities, absolutely, there is no dearth of opportunities. There are dearth of good legal professionals. Now, not only that, if I further dissect how things work, lawyers are also like, they are in different roles. For example, I'm an advocate. I argue before the court. Similarly, there are people who do not argue before the court. They are into advisories. Similarly, there are like, various roles a lawyer fit in. So what role you choose within legal profession, that is also like, it is up to you and up to your strengths. So legal profession is absolutely good career choice for anybody who chooses to study law. Challenges may be different in what you exactly want to do, and advocacy is something I always prefer. So anybody who's getting into law must look forward for advocacy.
Wonderful, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for coming to our show and inspiring the youth. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.